Remember, in the course of discussing movies, the host will spoil plots. You've been warned. Listen to their screams.
Greetings, ghouls and creeps, and welcome to Listen to Their Screams, a horror podcast that feels like you're chatting with friends. I am one of your friends, Dave. We're joined as always by our other friend, Ike. Ike, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Well, I'm snazzy. Feeling pretty good. We got a lot of shit to talk about today. This is going to be a packed, fun-filled show. There's just all kinds of stuff, all kinds of news and birthdays, and of course, this is the iconic episode. We haven't even finished it yet, but it's already iconic because this is the episode that we finally get to discuss Silence of the Lambs. And yes, I know it's not a straightforward horror movie. I think there's enough there to consider it horror, but it's obviously more, thriller or whatever else. But it is loosely defined as a horror movie. I can see that. But let me confirm right up front, Ike, you have finally watched Silence of the Lambs, correct?
I have 100% watched 100% the way through The Silence of the Lambs.
Bitchin'. All right, good. Finally. See, this is what I'm going to have to do. I'm just going to have to, every time we have a hole and we have a lag, I'm just going to have to put one of the movies off your watch list in there to back you into a corner to have to watch it.
Very, very true. Very true. I don't mind, though.
Everybody's
cool.
Everybody's got to have goals in life, and this is now mine. No. This is I love this movie. We're going to talk about it later. Everybody knows my opinions on it, but we'll talk about it much more. But before we get there, we have a ton of stuff to talk about. Obviously, we want to start off by saying thank you to our wives for all their support and everything else. They will be back on the show shortly. I've been saying that, but it's going to happen. I swear. But thank you to them. Ike, before we dive into everything, I think we need to throw a little shout out to our friends at 1984 Publishing. They've hooked us up with some books in the past, and they have come through again. They have sent us each two books, Ad Nauseum, Volumes 1 and 2, by Michael Gingold, I think they say his name, Gingold.
Yeah, I think so.
And man, these are beautiful, beautiful books. They're hardcover, and the first volume is the 70s and 80s. The second volume is the 90s and 2000s, and this thing is just chock full of newspaper ads and clippings, and then some write-ups about some movies as you go through the decades. It goes year by year, but I am a sucker for newspaper clippings. I'm one of those guys that goes on newspapers.com to look up stuff and goes down rabbit holes of seeing stuff. And looking up these newspaper clippings is one thing I love to do. I love to go on there and see the movie ads for the theaters and stuff. But man, I cannot suggest these books enough. They are, like I said, they're gorgeous. They're just full of all kinds of cool pictures and information. I feel that these are things that I'm going to, reference quite a bit as I'm looking, as I watch movies, as we talk about movies, as movies come up, as anniversaries for movies come up, to go back to these books, see some of the original newspaper clippings, what Michael wrote up about them. But I know you got them as well. But man, what do you think of them?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I dove right into the 90s and 2000s. I'm sure the other one's good, but as soon as I saw 90s and 2000s, that was the one I picked up first, I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
So first and foremost, this is going to sound weird, but the smell. The book, they smell good. They smell like fresh, oh man. I was smelling it earlier. I don't know, maybe I'm just stupid, but I was literally smelling the book. I was like, man, this smells like a good book. But first and foremost, yeah, 1984 Publishing, I mean, they hooked us the fuck up. I mean, these are hardcover. The box came to my doorstep, and I picked it up. I'm like, holy shit, what the hell did I get in the mail? And Dave had told me ahead of time I was getting something, but he didn't tell me what. So I pulled this box inside. I'm like, holy crap, what is this? And I pull out these two huge freaking books. And then like I said, I dove right into the Ad Nauseum Volume 2 for the 90s and 2000s, started, cycling through. And so far, my favorite little page is, of course, the Blair Witch Project that's in the book. And it just has a really cool poster from the Blair Witch that I would love to have in real life. And then, of course, there was, it just has like a little snippet about it, of course, and just talks about it. But it's really cool. These books are really neat. And, I'll stop talking here in a second. But, man, it was just, it's really cool. I mean, and literally everything is in this book. I mean, there's like animated movies in this book. Yeah. There's, all the horror movies, of course, different types of horror movies, different genres of horror movies. I mean, just everything. It's just so cool. Very awesome that we got these.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally like having 2 volumes of encyclopedias for those of you that remember encyclopedias, and it's just bursting with information like a encyclopedia. Again, I do lots of research and look up a lot of stuff online, right? And of course, it's easy, right? You always have a phone, or you're always sitting at a laptop, or whatever. I look up a lot of stuff like that. But I still I'm a book guy. I still love to read books. Still love to thumb through books in magazines. Comic books, all that, and actual hard print, versions. 1984, they hook us up. They've sent us some books in the past, like I said. And when I heard about these books and that they were going to send them, it was literally like the guy, I can't remember his name. I should have had that, but he's my kind of the contact from 1984 for us. And he said he was like send it, going to get them out in the mail to us that day. And I was like, okay, cool. And it was like a Thursday, and then mine came like Sunday. So, I mean, it was like 3 days. And then when he sent the email, it was on Thursday, so they didn't get picked up till Friday. So, man, they just mad dash got them to us, dude. They didn't hesitate and got them here. Again, I think the first volume's been out for a bit. I think the volume 2's a little newer, obviously. But again, I highly recommend people check these out. They're worth every penny that you would spend on them. Again, these are must-haves for any horror fan to have in their library. And you can check these out and order them for yourself by going to 1984publishing.com. That is 1984publishing.com. So once again, thank you to our friends at 1984 Publishing for the books. And hopefully they keep hooking us up, because they've got some really quality stuff that I love getting and talking about. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think the guy's name also, because there's a little business card. It's Matthew Mackey. Is that right?
Yeah. I don't remember his last name. Yeah, it is Matthew. Yeah. Good deal. So there you go. Yeah, they always throw in the business card at some little pins. Like every time they ship us something, there's always some little extras in there like that, and it's pretty cool. So thanks again, 1984. And go get yourself copies of these books. Cannot recommend them enough. So before we get into all the meat of the show, Ike, did you watch anything besides Silence of the Lambs?
I actually did. I watched a couple movies. So of course I'm almost done with my watch through of the originals. And then we're gonna finish off some other stuff within the Vampire Diaries universe. And then eventually, we're gonna pick back up where we left off in The Walking Dead. So hopefully soon, The Walking Dead Fear The Ones That Live will be coming out at the end of this month. So, I really want to try and get through The Walking Dead so that way I can sit down and watch that when it comes out, but we'll see what happens. But, otherwise, I did watch, so I mentioned this actually, probably months ago, probably a long time ago, honestly. I watched a movie called, Horror in the High Desert.
Yeah. I've been meaning to watch this.
Well, yeah, it's like a found footage kind of like documentary type movie. And the first one's actually really good. My wife did not like it. She thought it was really boring. But they came out with a second one. It's called Horror in the High Desert 2 Minerva. It actually came out last year, and it's on Screambox, so shout out to Screambox. So I got a chance to watch that the other day, and it was really good too. It's same kind of thing. It's, kind of like a mockumentary type deal. And it's supposed to be documenting a case similar to what happened in Horror in the High Desert. It's got found footage aspects to it. Super good. Honestly, I really enjoy the movies. Maybe I just like the format, but either way, super good.
Well, then I do have good news for you then, Ike. If you're a fan and you enjoyed those, they are working. Actually, maybe pretty close to being done. Part 3, and not only that, but the creator has also stated online that parts 4 and 5 are in pre-production. So there are definitely 3 more movies in the series coming out.
See, I love that. I think it's really cool. And honestly, they could do so much with that because it's like, it's so easy to make, like a documentary style movie because you just have people act like people. They don't even necessarily have to be good actors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love it. But yeah, Dave, you need to check that out.
Yeah, I will.
But yeah, there's two of them. So, and they're pretty similar in terms of, they're not similar. They are two different stories, but similar format is what I kind of meant by that. But yeah, so I watched that, and then the only other thing I watched, I finally got around to watching The Blackening on Stars.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
It was honestly really good.
Yeah.
I expected it to be funny, but it really kind of, it cracked me up. It reminded me of like a higher brow version of like the old like Scary Movie, kind of like the Wayans brothers and whatnot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It's definitely more highbrow, but it kind of makes fun of like the trope of a slasher movie, and it also kind of makes fun of some of the more not so great tropes of horror movies, such as typically the black character dies first, and it really talks about that, makes fun of it, and then completely subverts your expectations for the film. So. Yeah. Such a good movie. I really enjoyed it. Would recommend. It's on Stars. I'm sure it's elsewhere, like Prime and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. Let's see. Did I watch anything? The only thing I've been on I have started a watch through of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the series. I've watched lots of it, lots of episodes. Never sat down and watched it, start to finish, and filled all the gaps. So I have officially started that. I think there's 7 or 8 seasons, so hopefully I'll probably plow through that pretty quickly. But that's all I've been doing right now is just watching that. So that's been my watch.
Nice.
So let's go to our weekly segment.
Generation Gap.
And this week we are debuting a new segment. Hopefully everybody will enjoy this. I think it's got some bones here. I think this is going to be a good one. But give us some feedback and let us know what you think of this. We are calling this Generation Gap. And because Ike and I are there's a wide age difference between the two of us. And, 20 years, give or take a couple years. We're talking 20 years. And Ike was born in 1995. So we thought, hey, that's a good date, good cutoff date there. And what we will do with this is, and I guess this could go both ways. I mean, we might go who alternate some or vary some who starts. But with this week, I have picked a movie that was made pre-1995, and Ike has to counter with a movie post-1995 that is similar that he thinks is better than mine. And this is not to spark an argument, but just a lively debate and discussion. There's not a right or wrong in this. Chances are better than not. More times than not, we will probably both like both the movies that are brought up. So again, everybody needs to remember those days when discussing a fandom was not so toxic, and you could just discuss it and disagree and have discussions and talks and not get into arguments and fights. So, Ike, are you ready?
I think so. I think I'm ready.
Okay. Well, obviously, to be fair, I give Ike the movie ahead of time so that he can ponder it a little bit. But the movie that I have come up with is a movie that has been on my mind a lot here lately, and I'm not sure why, but it has been. My pre-1995 movie is a vampire movie. It is from 1987, The Lost Boys. So now Ike has to come up with a similar vein of movie, post-1995, that he will counter as either a better or more enjoyable movie, a more enjoyable movie in his mind. And I do hope to the higher powers that be that you're not going to say Twilight.
Oh, 100% it's going to be Twilight. No, I was kidding.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What you got?
So let me preface this by saying that there's not a lot of movies that are exactly like Lost Boys. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Lost Boys is like a mixture between Dracula and Goonies. I feel like there's a lot of camp to vampires in general, and pretty much anything prior to the 90s, it has a little bit of that camp to it, a little bit of the campiness. So I tried to say, okay, what's a campy vampire movie made after 1995 that I think could contend with the likes of The Lost Boys. And I won't lie to you, it's actually kind of difficult because pretty much any vampire movie made after 1995 is not super campy. I mean, they're all very serious. You have things like 30 Days of Night, Let Me In, Daybreakers, Van Helsing. You know, a lot of these movies are very serious, or at least more serious movies. But I found one. I found one campy vampire movie or vampire-esque movie made after 1995 that I very much enjoy, and I would even put it up to some degree a contender against that of The Lost Boys.
Mm.
With that in mind, I present Jennifer's Body. Now, you might be saying to yourself, Jennifer's Body. You know that movie with Megan Fox in it? The movie with Megan Fox in it. So, here's my argument. Jennifer's Body is it's essentially a vampire movie. They talk about demons a lot in the movie, but she's a vampire. She's essentially a vampire. She sucks blood. She eats, you know, the human bloods and stuff like that. And Jennifer is played by Megan Fox. It is a very campy movie. It has a lot of humor. It's like a 2009 horror movie. So in my opinion, anything made prior to like 2010 that's like got people like Megan Fox in it, it's probably going to be a little cheesy. But Jennifer's Body is not as bad as a lot of people remember it to be. It has a lot of humor, has a lot of gore to it, surprisingly. And to me, it holds up as a true to form vampire-esque movie because it follows the tropes of vampires. You know, a lot of the attacks and whatnot happen to random people, and there are your typical, you know, protagonist as characters who step in to try and put a stop to the evil. And it's definitely a subversion of tropes because it isn't your typical vampire movie, but it tries, and I appreciate its effort in trying.
Yeah, I mean, I like Jennifer's Body, and it's good. I do not believe it is even within the same city as the ballpark of The Lost Boys, though. But then again, I don't believe, you know, to me, there are two vampire movies that are in a league of their own, and that is Dracula and Lost Boys. For different reasons. But Lost Boys is just such a fun film. To me, it made vampires so cool. I mean, that is just peak vampires for me. And it's kind of funny that you bring up Jennifer's Body because the movie was created by Diablo Cody, right?
Yep.
Who also has created the new film that's out that we will be reviewing next week, Lisa Frankenstein, right? Yep. She has said that these two movies are in the same universe. So
really?
Yeah, that's pretty intriguing and interesting. Of course, we've not seen Lisa Frankenstein yet to see what that means, or if there's any indication of that, or if it's just something she's saying, because it's plausible. But yeah, that's just kind of timely that you brought that up. So, okay, well there you go. So today we have Lost Boys and Jennifer's Body. Man, I don't know how many times have those two movies been compared. Probably very few, if any. So, wow, there you have it. We may put this out as a poll, and let's see what happens. I'm not feeling real good about your choice in that battle because not to knock the movie, but I mean, Lost Boys is kind of a cult favorite. So.
I was gonna say it's hard to contend. I'll put this out there, and I feel like this is probably going to be a somewhat reoccurring theme with a lot of these movies. Is that it is hard to contend with movies like Lost Boys because the Lost Boys for most of the case here, the Lost Boys have sort of pioneered a genre of the genre. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're not the first vampires, but they're one of the most influential versions of vampires. So it is hard to contend when you have legacy icons like the Lost Boys, but I did my best. I found a movie that I felt like sort of met the category. There are better modern day horror movies that are vampires. Films like Let Me In. I'm trying to think of another one. I just said one. Anyways, but there are other vampire movies, 30 Days of Night, that I think are better than Jennifer's Body. but you have to hone in on the specific kind of vampire movie it is. And to me, 30 Days of Night is not the same kind of vampire as The Lost Boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's like, that's why I said that maybe we'll do it the other way every now and then, where you come up with the movie and I have to do the counter to make it a little more fair. I mean, there are plenty of iconic post 95 movies. So it's not like you wouldn't have some big guns to pull out if you were leading the charge too. So we might we might alternate each time we do this, and that way I have to come up with the pre 95 defense. So,
there you go.
All right. Well, there you have it for the first installment of Generation Gap. Let us know what you think of the new segment. Let us know what you think of the two movies that we came up with here in our discussion, The Lost Boys and Jennifer's Body. So interesting. Lots to discuss amongst yourselves there, class. So let us know what you think. But like I said earlier, we have all kinds of things to discuss. So let's take a really quick break. And when we come back, we will have news, birthdays, and movie anniversaries. So stick around.
Make sure you subscribe to listen to their screams on your favorite podcast platform. Also, make sure you look us up on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, TikTok, and Slasher. All you have to do is look up Listen to Screams. That is Listen, the number 2 in Screams, and you can find us there. Also, make sure you go and buy yourself a Listen to Their Screams t-shirt. You can find all of our shirts at tinyurl.com/Screams Shirts.
Spread the news. Spread the news. Spread the news. And we are back with the news. Starting us off strong with the news today, it is being reported that a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie is in the works. It is supposedly being developed under the working title of Texas Chainsaw Legacy. We have done an episode about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I believe we ranked the Texas Chainsaw films. And I believe we reviewed the one that's on Netflix. Yeah, I believe so. And, or maybe did we?
I don't know. I thought maybe you had another podcast, because I'm like, I don't remember any of that. But
I'm not.
We talked Texas Chainsaw a lot, and it comes up with different things. But I don't think we've done a Texas Chainsaw episode.
Really? Okay. Well, then maybe we need to. So again, I think I mentioned this last time. I did a YouTube channel for a little bit called Geek Stew, and I think I maybe did it for my Geek Stew channel, maybe. So that's probably what I'm thinking. So that's totally my bad. But we should do a Texas Chainsaw episode at some point, maybe like near an anniversary or something. I feel like that'd be cool.
Well, I mean, obviously, if they're going to do a new movie, doing it right around that time. So, I mean, this is apparently is a pretty strong rumor that it is happening. It's a working title, so don't hold us to that. That may not be the title that actually is released, what it's called. But it seems to be, fairly definitive that, there's a new movie in some form of works. We all know how that goes, though, right? You can completely get a script, get ready to do pre-production, and who knows what happens. And it can be shelved for years and years or never even made, right? I mean, there's how many horror movies and horror sequels do we have that's never saw the light of day? So fingers crossed. I think we're due for a new Texas Chainsaw movie. So
I think so. All right. Jurassic World has released a graphic on their social media announcing the next installment in the franchise will be released on July 2nd, 2025. So we got about a year and a half before that comes out, so that'll be interesting. I'll be curious to see where they go with it. You know what I mean? They did the Jurassic World little trilogy with Chris Pratt. So I'm very curious to see where Jurassic Park World takes us next.
Yeah, I don't know. Like we said, I think we in news a week or two ago, we said that the original guy that adapted, the books for the first couple movies is back working on it. So I like that. Maybe we'll get a little more vibe and feel of the first few movies. But I don't know. I like all the Jurassic movies to varying degrees. So I'm excited. It'll be fun.
Yep, I think so. All right. Don Mancini has said in a recent interview that his fans want his creation, Chucky, to go to space. And he has an idea of how to do it. Not often do horror movie icons go to space. Statistically, though, when they do, it is not very good. Two examples, Jason X and the Leprechaun goes to space. So here's my thing. If there is a horror movie character that could possibly make it work, I sincerely believe that it is Chucky. Chucky has enough camp to it that I feel like you could pretty much do whatever you want with Chucky, and it could potentially work. Whereas, the other incarnations, see, at the same time, though, the Leprechaun could have worked too, because the Leprechaun is 100% camp, but I don't know, it just didn't work out. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm not totally sure how he intends to do this, but, creative process is creative process, so do as you will.
Yeah, I mean, he's not said that he is going to do it. He said if there was enough interest, he would. He's not opposed to it, and that he already has an idea in mind for it. So, I don't know. It's intriguing. I'm not on paper, I'm not a fan of the idea, but I'd give it a watch, see what happens, see how they do it.
Yeah, exactly. See what happens. You never know. Could be wrong. Anywho, moving on. Chucky in space. It is being rumored that the first trailer for Vaccine will air during this year's Super Bowl on February 11th. I'm not a huge follower of football, but I do watch the Super Bowl, as I'm sure a lot of people do. I mostly celebrate Super Bowl Sunday, so that way I could eat a bunch of junk food and, drink some beer. So that's always a good time. That's
just every Sunday for me.
Right. But yeah, I mean, the Super Bowl's a great time to release some trailers. I've heard that the Deadpool 3 trailer is going to come out this time, and as well as many others. So I will definitely be on the lookout for the first look at Maxine.
Yeah, I mean, again, I like football. It's okay. I don't really watch football though. But I always watch the Super Bowl because it's an event, and I like the commercials, and I used to like the halftime shows, but they have really went to shit in the last few years, and they don't get the kind of acts that I like anymore. And this is the kind of stuff that I like, right? That you get cool commercials with big stars in them, and you get trailers that debut, and you get big stuff like that. So
there you go. Very, very interesting. Like you said, always on the lookout for that good stuff. Anywho, it is also being reported that Sebastian Vanishek, maybe, has been hired to direct an untitled Evil Dead spinoff movie. No further details are available at this time. Dave and I have talked to some extensive lengths about the Evil Dead. We've done a couple episodes about that. I know that for sure. I know that is a true thing. It is not in my head. We both love the Evil Dead. We love anything that comes out of the Evil Dead. And we've even talked about how there are some different ways that they could continue the legacy of Evil Dead. So I hope to see that put into action. And I'll definitely be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is another one of those things that's still technically rumor, but it's a pretty definitive from what I've read. So, it's exciting. I mean, like when Evil Dead Rise come out, we heard lots of talk that hey, they've got all kinds of plans, all kinds of things they want to do, and and explore, and that they feel like they could do all kinds of things, and it's true, they can. I mean, it's they can do all kinds of things, and so I'm curious to see what it is. And what idea they have up their sleeve for this. Absolutely.
All right. Last but not least for news, the first trailer for Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 was released. We knew it was coming. We knew it's supposed to come out later this month, I'm pretty sure. So Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey trailer is out. Check it out. It's a good time. Mm-hmm. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, again, the first movie was so much fun. This one, dude, I mean, we've got Al, Tigger, and Piglet in this one with them, and they're looking pretty creepy. And Pooh's got a chainsaw. There's lots of stuff happening in this trailer, but it is fun. Go out and see that trailer, and I'm excited. I was all excited, because they were doing a countdown thing online that the trailer was coming. X days or whatever, and I was all, yeah, I'll just bring it on. They were getting me pumped, and I was looking forward to it anyway. Like we've talked about, man, I'm a sucker for all this public domain stuff, horror movies that they're really diving into now. And the Winnie the Pooh stuff's kind of led the charge.
Yeah, absolutely. And because of the Winnie the Pooh stuff, and because of all this good shit, we're also getting a Mickey Mouse movie pretty soon. So I'm excited for that too.
Pinocchio, I think.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. We talked about that. Bambi the Reckoning.
Yep.
And there was, I don't know. We talked about it an episode or two ago. There's several being planned, and it's exciting, man. They're so much fun.
They are. It's good shit. I'm excited. All right. Moving on to some birthdays and anniversaries. Starting us off here, we have February 8th, 1974, Seth Green, known as his role in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Robot Chicken. Robot Chicken spoofs a lot of shit, including horror movies. And he was also in Austin Powers, so you can't beat that.
Yeah. Lots of things. He's in all kinds of things. But Seth Green's such a cool dude.
Absolutely. Love Seth Green.
Such a short dude.
He is very short, but he's funny. He's a funny guy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right. And on the same day, many years later, February 8th, 1997.
97, yeah.
Yep. Catherine Newton. Also, I did not know that birthday off the top of my head. Just for point of reference, Dave sends me a sheet. He had the birthday wrong, but
mistyped.
He mistyped, but I looked it up because I knew she was younger than me. Mm-hmm. I did not just know her birthday. I promise. I'm not creepy. Anyways.
I don't know.
Catherine Newton, known for her role as, what is it, Mary in the Winchester? No, she's not Mary Winchester.
She's Claire.
Claire Novak, that's right. There's another girl who looks like her who plays Mary Winchester in the Winchester.
Yeah. No, it's not her.
But she's also known for Lisa Frankenstein coming out later this month, as well as Freaky, the horror comedy. So
she's also in the Ant-Man movie.
Yep, she plays Cassie Lang.
She's all over the place. She's kind of hit it big, man. And I believe she's got another horror movie coming out. I can't remember what it is though. Later this year, I believe it's the one.
Oh, Abigail.
Abigail? No, is it Abigail? Abigail? Yeah, that's it. You said Abigail, and I immediately thought Annabelle. And I'm like, no, it's not that one. But yeah, Abigail. You're right. Yeah, she's in that too. So
very good.
Yeah.
I
she's
saw
not hurt for work.
No, I was gonna say she's not hurt for it, but I saw the trailer for Abigail actually during a movie I watched recently. But it looks really good.
Yeah.
Very good.
I like Catherine. Of course, like I said, from Supernatural, chances are better not I'm gonna like it. So
that is true.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. Like I said, Supernatural pipeline. They're everywhere, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next up, we have a legacy. February 10th, 1906. Lon Chaney Jr., the Wolfman and son of Dracula. Lon, again, you hear a name like Lon Chaney Jr., and it's literally, it's an icon. It's a legacy character, a legacy actor who's been in a number of things. I mostly know him from Frankenstein, not Frankenstein. Well, there he is in a Frankenstein movie.
Yeah,
but
Wolfman. He's probably most known for Wolfman.
Wolfman.
Yeah.
Wasn't he in like Frankenstein meets Wolfman or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's the only person that's ever played in the Universal movies. Played Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, and the Invisible. Is it the Invisible Man? I believe, or not the Invisible. Excuse me, the Mummy. In different movies. So.
Really.
Yeah, he's played all those four characters, and he was in a very creepy movie. What's that one called? Spider Babies or something like that. Ooh, creepy movie. And I believe it's on Screambox now. I think I saw that online. That it's not on. It's an old, but it's weird. It's freaky. But yeah, it kind of had a tragic, rough life. Had a problem with alcoholism, and obviously his dad, was a legendary makeup artist. With the Phantom of the Opera, the original Phantom of the Opera, and all these other things. Developed so many techniques for makeup and things like that. And it's big shoes to follow when your dad was that legendary at the time. But Junior had a great career. It was had a little problem with the booze, and it kind of made things rough, and it cut his life a little short. But still legendary.
Well, I will have to check out Spider Babies because that sounds spooky. But
It's pretty
obviously,
creepy.
Lon Chaney is long past, so he's remembered fondly. Um, but next up we have somebody I've actually never heard of, but I have seen before. I have seen him and stuff, or I've heard of him at least. February 13th, 1951, David Naughton, known for American Werewolf in London.
Mm-hmm. Was played the lead role, the main dude in that movie, and I'm sure. I mean, I know he's done a few other things, whatever else, but that obviously, immediately always what I think of with him, and probably what he's most known for is that movie.
I was trying to remember because I've seen him in something else. Well, one of the things I've seen him in is Grey's Anatomy, but also he was in American Horror Story.
Yeah.
So, I do know of David Naughton. So, There you go. Very good. Moving on up, February 14th, 1970, the legendary Simon Pegg. Simon Pegg has done so much stuff. Obviously, Shaun of the Dead is probably his most iconic horror icon, horror film, if you will. He's done some other stuff that would probably fit in the category of horror, but he's just so good. He's so good at what he does. The Cornetto trilogy is iconic, so
yep.
Hot Fuzz is one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't know why, I just love that movie.
Yeah, he's great. Obviously, been in the new Star Trek movies. He's in the Mission Impossible movies. He's been in some big stuff, and not even counting dude, if anybody out there has never seen the series Spaced, watch it. Oh my God, it is it's got him and Nick Frost in it and tons of other people, and it is so damn funny, so funny, and that's when they were just getting started, but I love Simon Pegg.
Yeah, and also Space too. It's funny because a lot of the people that are in that movie have been in other of his movies that he's done.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a few people from like Run Fat Boy Run that he did, from like Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, World's End. It's honestly it's hilarious. It reminds me of like our version, like it's like the British equivalent of like Grown Ups, where like Adam Sandler just does whatever he wants. This was Simon Pegg just doing whatever he wants and then just getting really famous and then just making a shit ton of movies from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And here's the thing. I kind of like Grown Ups, the first one, but Spaced is 10 times funnier.
Oh yeah.
It is so, it's so hilarious. It is such a great little series. It's not very long, but great series. Check it out.
Yeah. Not too bad. Like 14 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, but anywho. February 14, 1964, Zach Galligan, known for Gremlins 1 and Numero Dos. I don't think I know him from anything else. I think that's pretty much all I know him from is Gremlins.
Yeah. I'm sure he's probably done some things here and there, but nothing maybe that hits home with me like Gremlins. I love the Gremlins movies, and so he'll always be for me.
Yeah. I'm just looking through his IMDb because I always like to do that as we go along, and I can't really see anything else I would know him from. But I guess he was in Hatchet 3, which is a little obscure, but that works.
He was in Hatchet 3?
Yeah, it says he was in Hatchet 3. It says he was what was it? I just had it here. He was Sheriff Fowler in Hatchet 3. It's been a minute since I've seen Hatchet 3.
Me too. But I do like the Hatchet movies though. I don't remember that. You would have thought that would have been something that would have jumped out at me, but probably did when I watched it. But like I said, it's been a while, so.
It's usually how it is. You watch a movie once and then you kind of forget about it for a little bit. That's how I do things. Mm-hmm. All right. Moving on over, we have February 8th, 1968, Planet of the Apes. So at first glance, Planet of the Apes probably does not seem like a horror movie, but I would say that it's pretty horrific to imagine waking up on a planet where there's human apes. You know what I mean?
It is, yes. And again, like we've always talked about, take context. We're talking 1968.
Yeah.
And it's, I remember watching it as a kid, and it spooked me. It scared me. It's like, dude, can this really happen? And it's like, yeah. No matter how it is a great movie.
And if I remember correctly, it's Charlton Heston, right?
Yeah, Charles Heston. Is it
Very
Charles or
good.
Charlton? I don't know. It's
Yes.
what is he, the NRA guy or whatever, isn't he, or something like that?
Yeah, he's done all kinds of stuff, but yeah, he was in like Ben-Hur, Ten Commandments. I mean,
Yeah, he's legendary.
he really is. He's done a lot of shit. Damn. Anywho, but yeah, so Charlton Heston. He was also in the movie Cats and Dogs.
There you go.
In case you were curious, it's kind of a weird one, but
I'm sure he bumps that to the top of the resume.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, Planet of the Apes. There you go.
10 Commandments. Fuck that, baby. Watch me at Cats and Dogs.
That's right. Ben-Hur, never heard of him. Anywho.
Unless that's a dog, you don't need to care.
Before we get too sacrilegious here, I'm sure there are probably some like movie buffs out there who are like Ben-Hur is a masterpiece, and you're comparing it to Cats and Dogs.
I'm not comparing it to anything because I'm gonna be frank. I've never watched Ben-Hur, probably never will. So
True. That's accurate.
I can't compare it to anything, but
Accurate. All right, moving on before we get canceled. February 8th, 1980, The Fog. This is, of course, the original, I believe, John Carpenter Fog.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Lee Curtis, Janet Leigh. I mean, so many cool people in this movie.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie. Love it. Just iconic.
And it has a remake, too, from 2005 that stars Superman star Tom Welling. Just in case you're curious.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Tom's no Jamie Lee.
He is no Jamie Lee. That is for certain. All right. February 11th, 1981, My Bloody Valentine. This, of course, is the original, the non-Jensen Ackles version. It is, BJA before Jensen Ackles.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, My Bloody Valentine, good movie, classic slasher. Can't beat it. You can't beat a classic slasher.
No, great movie. And I do love the remake on this one too. I love it obviously because Jensen Ackles is in it, but it's also I think just a really, really solid remake. But because I don't feel like they fucked with it too much, and they just kind of brought it current and did it. So
absolutely, that's the best way to do it. Don't if it's not broken, don't fix it. All right.
And put Jensen Ackles in it. There you go.
Yeah, if it's not broken, don't fix it, and put somebody from Supernatural in that bitch.
That's right. If you need to know who, just call Dave.
That's right. You need to know who. There's only two options: Jensen Ackles.
Oh no. There's all kinds of people. We can give some of that supporting cast some roles.
True.
We look at Catherine Newton. She was just a bit player in Supernatural, and look at her now.
That's true. And they look at her now. That's what she said.
Mm-hmm. Castiel would be proud.
Castiel would be proud. All right.
How many people you think listen, and when we get talking Supernatural like that, they're like, what the fuck are they talking about? Who's the fuck's Castiel?
I would hope that they've seen at least like an episode of Supernatural because we talk about Supernatural a lot on this show.
Guess. What kind of people think of Catherine Newton and think that she played Claire Novak in Supernatural over she was in a Marvel movie? Well,
true.
This guy, that's who.
Listen, the only Marvel movie she's really been in substantially was Ant-Man Quantumania, and it was not bad, but it was mediocre compared to like everything that's come up prior to it. So it's not a very memorable movie. I'm sorry, guys.
It wasn't that good. It was, it wasn't. I don't know. I'm not gonna do it. Whatever. We're not a Marvel podcast. That's a whole nother hive we could dive
that
into.
Is true. That is a whole nother wormhole we could jump into, or rabbit hole, where the fuck, I don't know. Something. Anywho, moving on before we get canceled again. February 13th, 2009. One of my favorite remakes of all time, Friday the 13th. This movie does what I...
Which has Jared Padalecki in it from Superman.
It has Jared Padalecki in it. That's damn straight. Damn straight.
You can't escape it.
You cannot escape the Supernatural pipeline. I'm fucking telling you.
Oh,
everybody and their mother in horror has been in Supernatural at some point. I swear. Anywho, Friday 13th, the remake, a fantastic remake. and I have talked about this to death, but it is probably, in my opinion, better than the original because it does it better. I said it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna have a discussion with you. We'll save that. We'll save that for when pre-Crystal Lake comes out. We'll discuss this, but I do love the remake. I love it a lot. I mean, I love it a lot. But again, we'll save this. We'll save this because this is a whole episode right here, and but there's sometime we're going to have a very special generation gap episode where we're going to discuss whatever. I guess I would have to lump together maybe the first 3 of the original, 2 or 3 of the original Friday the 13th against the remake.
Yeah.
and we'll have that discussion. But because right now I'm just gonna say, hey, I do love the remake. I do like it. It's a good movie. I very much enjoy it. Not just because Jared Padalecki's in it, but it's quality. And we'll leave it at that for now.
Now you might think that he likes it just because it has Jared Padalecki in it, and you would only be partially right.
Yeah, that just adds to it.
Good Lord. Anywho, last but not least, we have another iconic horror film. February 14th, 1931, Dracula. This is the OG, the original gangster when it comes to vampire movies. We talked about Lost Boys, and this is the precursor. This is the originator. This is the progenitor of vampires. So, I mean, how can you beat Dracula? You can't.
Well, I mean, we could argue to the aforementioned The Lost Boys, maybe, but we won't talk about that either. But this is, like we have talked about dozens of times, this is, to me, is a perfect movie. I understand it's not everybody's cup of tea. I get it. Some people would think it's slow. Some people would think it's boring. I don't care. It's iconic. It is gorgeous. It is beautiful. And motherfuckers, when pop culture and the general public think of a Dracula, they're picturing Bela Lugosi from this movie. So, in some information, I mean, the slicked hair, the dead eyes, the cape, that's all from this movie. So, blah.
That's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're going to finish this up with some upcoming releases. This first one is a streaming release on Shudder. Skeletons in the Closet premieres February 9th, as mentioned on Shudder. It is described as haunted by a malevolent spirit since childhood. A desperate mother allows herself to become possessed in order to save the life of her terminally ill daughter. This movie stars Terrence Howard and Cuba Gooding Jr., a name that I've not heard in probably 15 years. Mm-hmm. Why he's doing a movie on Shudder, I have no idea. And Terrence Howard, who famously shit the bucket by letting Don Cheadle take his role as War Machine and fucking Iron Man. Don't get me started on that either. I love Terrence Howard, but man, he really fucked that one up. Anyways.
That's that side Marvel path we're not going to go down here.
That is that side Marvel path. I swear. It's another pipeline.
It does seem kind of peculiar, these two showing up in this movie that is now on Shudder. But I don't know. So be it. Maybe do keep in mind, Shudder is part of AMC Plus. So maybe it's more for that. And AMC said, hey, we're putting this on Shudder because it fits on Shudder. So, whatever. I don't know. But you know what? Still, sounds like a fun movie.
Yeah, it does. Very much so. Looks like a good cast. I totally joke about Cuba Gooding Jr. I'm sure he's been doing stuff. I just have not heard that name in so long. Anywho. He was good in Radio. I like that movie.
Wait, who? Cuba Gooding Jr.?
Yeah, Cuba Gooding Jr.
How do you think Cuba Gooding Jr. and don't automatically think Jerry Maguire?
I've not seen Jerry Maguire. That's another conversation.
If it was a horror movie, it would be on the list. You've never seen oh, man.
I'm sure it's good. I've seen other Cuba Gooding movies like Radio. I've seen, Boys in the Hood. I mean... I've seen Selma.
All right. We're not going to talk Jerry Maguire. Jeez.
I'll put it on the list and I'll try and watch it at some point. I know it's got Tom Cruise in it. That's the one where...
And Renee Zellweger, however you say her name, she's in it. That one little cute kid that was in several things at that time. I don't know who he is, but you never... that infamous line of, show me the money, and you ever heard people say that thing, whatever, you had me at hello, or had me, that's all from Jerry Maguire.
Okay. Well, is that the movie, or is it Risky Business where he like slides in the socks to the na 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 na?
That's Risky Business.
Okay, I thought it was. I've seen Risky Business.
Was that your attempt to hum Bob Seger? That's old time rock and roll that he does that too. And you're just like, nah. Come on, man,
we're going off the fucking rails.
You got to know your Tom Cruise shit, man.
Listen, we are going off the rails here. I'm singing. We're talking about Cuba Gooding Jr. to an obnoxious amount. I think people are going to be like, what the fuck's happening?
This supposed to be a horror podcast.
Right. One of the guys is singing, the other guy is screaming about Risky Business. Oh, man.
Yeah, anyway, Skeletons in the Closet. Shudder. There we go. We brought it back home for you.
Woo! Yeah. I'll check it out. I'll see what happens.
Thanks, Shudder.
Thanks, Shudder. Shout out. Good Lord. Good Lord. If Cuba Gooding Jr. is listening to this, I'm sorry. I'm sure he's not. But anyway.
That's why that's what he's been doing all this time, man. That's why I hadn't made a few movies. He's like been listening to those guys that listen to the screams.
That's right.
No, I ain't doing your movie. I gotta listen to Ike and Dave.
Cuba Gooding approves. Good Lord. I really, though, hey, if he wants to give us a sponsor, if he wants to give us like a little shout out on Twitter, I'd be down for that. Have to start a campaign, hashtag Cuba Gooding Jr. Anyways,
wow.
before we really get canceled.
This is the most non-horror talk we've ever experienced. I was trying to find, if Cuba Gooding was ever in a horror movie, but I no, nothing comes to mind. I mean, I guess we have this now, but
I was gonna say we have one now. I don't know if he's ever been in a different one. He was in American Horror Story at some point.
There you go. All right. Well,
there you go.
So we're not completely off our rockers, I guess.
Not completely. Mostly though.
Guys, stick around. We are going to talk about Silence of the Lambs, so don't leave us yet.
Yeah, don't leave us yet. Don't leave us yet. All right, we have one more upcoming release. It's not that huge though because we're watching it next week and we're going to review it next week. Lisa Frankenstein's going to be in theaters February 9th. We've already talked about it a little bit before. I'm super stoked for this movie. I think Dave is too. So check us out next episode for that review. But all right.
Starring Catherine Newton from Supernatural.
That's right. Not starring Cuba Gooding Jr. He didn't make the cut.
Well, we don't know. We've not seen the movie yet.
True. He might have a cameo. Might have a cameo as radio. We're not sure yet.
Yikes.
I'm just kidding. I love that movie though. I love Radio.
Apparently you brought it up like a dozen times now.
It's a good movie.
I love how when you think Cuba Gooding Jr., you immediately think Radio. That is like your number one go-to. It's like, it's just funny. I don't
watch football, but I do like a good football adjacent movie.
That's Jerry Maguire.
Is Jerry Maguire about football too?
Yes! He plays a football player in it. So if you want to watch Cuba Gooding Jr. football adjacent, you need to watch Jerry Maguire. You don't even know what the movie's about. He plays a football player. Jerry Maguire, which is Tom Cruise, is his agent.
Okay. I got you. That makes sense.
Lord.
Yeah. I mean, I'm reading the description now, but I've never seen it.
Just watch the damn movie. And no, it's not horror, but
right. Listen, my bandwidth is either horror movies or comedy movies.
It's a funny movie.
I put it on the list. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Damn.
Don't worry about it. Anyways.
Forget about
it. Now we're into mobster movies. Don't get me started.
I think we need to take a break.
I think we do. I think we need to take a break, recoup, collect ourselves, because coming up next...
I don't know if we got enough time for that, but...
True. But coming up next, it is my official review. Dave has already talked about how much he likes this movie, but it is my time to tell you how much I liked or disliked Silence of the Lambs. Stick around.
Listen to Their Screams is now a Fangoria collaborator. Get 20% off your order at shop.fangoria.com by using the promo code LISTEN2SCREAMS at checkout. That is listen, the number 2, and screams. Or you can click the link in the show notes.
All right. We are back here on Listen to Their Screams. And we are now going to finally talk about Silence of the Lambs. I've heckled Ike for forever to watch this movie. People on social media have heckled Ike to watch this movie, and we have finally gotten him to watch it. But let's talk about a little background on the movie real quick. It was written by Thomas Harris and adapted by Ted Talley, which was adapted from Thomas Harris's novel of the same name. Directed by Jonathan Demme. It starred Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins, of course. It premiered on January 30th, 1991, but then it opened nationwide on February 14th. The movie grossed $272,742,922 worldwide, which was the fourth highest grossing movie of 1991. It was the number one movie on its opening weekend, and it won Academy Awards for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Adapted Screenplay. And there have only been 3 movies that have ever won all 5 of those awards. It was the last movie to do that. So much deserved. I'm not even going to start this. Everybody knows how, my love for Silence of the Lambs. It's been me that's been pushing, talking about how much of a masterpiece it is. Ike, now that you have finally watched it, now that you know all the pop culture references now in context, what do you think of Silence of the Lambs?
All right. Well, I liked it. All right. The suspense is over. I very much liked it. Here's the deal. The pacing of the beginning of this movie was a little weird. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I started it, I was like, okay, not starting off strong. I maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just a little weird about it, but sometimes when movies have very slow pacing at the very beginning, or if they fail to hook me in right away, sometimes I'm like, okay, like what the fuck's going on? So the movie had a little bit of a weird pacing at the very beginning, but as soon as it got to the scene where Jodie Foster's character talks to Dr. Lecter for the first time, I was hooked. That first conversation with Dr. Lecter, to me, is probably one of the greatest parts of that movie. I mean, it is such an incredible back and forth between Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster. Anthony Hopkins is chilling as Dr. Lecter. I mean, Hannibal Lecter as a character is so intriguing to me. Hannibal the Cannibal, he is a sophisticated murderer. He is not your ruthless and, unplanned, unorganized, particularly unnecessarily violent killer. He's calculated. He's cold. And I feel like Anthony Hopkins, he's done a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Anthony Hopkins is a legendary actor. I mean, he's literally done so much shit. But specifically this, I was so surprised about. I was like, wow, this is something I've never seen from Anthony Hopkins. Because honestly, my primary thought process when I hear Anthony Hopkins is he played Odin in the fucking Thor movies. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. That was the last thing that I've really seen him in prominently. So seeing him in this role as a younger man is so interesting to me. Now, this also just proves to me that Anthony Hopkins has always just been old because he was born in the 30s. But, so he was in his 60s during this movie. And this movie was made in 1991. So yeah. So anyways, this movie was fantastic. It has made me want to watch more from Hannibal, about Hannibal Lecter. I know there are other movies what is it called? Red Dragon. There's a Hannibal movie, and there's a TV show, which has Mads Mikkelsen in it, which I love him. He's awesome. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I went into it with an open mind. I kind of thought that I would like it because I was like, I wouldn't see why I wouldn't. It's an early 90s horror movie. It has a lot of really great names in it, and it did not disappoint. Also, the guy that played Buffalo Bill was really creepy.
Yeah.
And I guess I never knew this. I never knew it was from this movie. But
you're gonna say the Jay and Silent Bob thing, aren't you?
Yes, the Clerks 2, Jay and Silent Bob. Goodbye Horses is playing, and Jay is dancing.
So you never knew what that was?
I did not know that was from the Silence of the Lambs. I never knew that. So
There you
but
go.
when I saw that and heard the song, well, when I heard the song, because you hear it first,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I know that song. That's from Clerks too. And then he starts doing the dance. He's like, would you fuck me? I'm like, oh my God, this is where they got that. I'm like, holy shit. So that was a little ruined for me because I saw it in Clerks before I saw it in this, but otherwise everything else was great. You know, I ate his liver with the side of fava beans and a nice Chianti. I was like, okay, that's pretty badass. And just everything else. It's just such a good movie. It has so many iconic lines and parts, and like you said, there's a lot of pop culture references that come from this movie.
Yeah.
And it's just so interesting. You know what I mean? It's so interesting and how that works. You know what I mean? Today we still quote these movies, and this movie came out like what
3 years ago.
Yeah, wow, yeah, shit. So yeah,
No. 33 years ago.
33 years ago. So this came out a long ass time ago. So it's just crazy. I love the movie. It is probably one of the better movies from the 90s. If I had to tell you one thing for sure, this movie is unlike any other movie from the 90s. Truly. Yeah. And I say that as a 90s kid.
Yeah. I mean, it's made countless lists of, best all time movies, most influential movies. Both characters, but especially Hannibal Lecter is, been on all kinds of lists for, iconic movie characters. And, I mean, it is, you see figures, there's, Toonie Terrors of Hannibal Lecter, with, the iconic thing with the mask and the, strap to thing, the board and stuff. I mean, that's been done so much, right? From within professional wrestling and this and that, because people know it. They know what it is and they see it. And, yeah, I mean, it's such a good movie. It is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a movie that every time I watch it, I love. What is so cool is, there's so much about or one thing it's cool. There's so much about, like the behavior analysis within the FBI and stuff. And this is before that was a thing that we saw everywhere, right? Now, now we've had several shows and lots more things that have used that. But, when this came out in 91, I'm not saying behavioral analysis was new, but its place within media was not as prominent as it is now. So, again, it's just, everybody knows how much I love the movie. I can't say anymore. One of my favorite movies of all time. It's so much fun to watch. So interesting, so creepy. I mean, when they walk in and he's, when he's killed that guard, from the cage, and he's got him like strung up. It's just
and flayed.
Yeah. It's just such a visual. And,
well, and to me, like that whole scene where he like escapes, it just, that to me was so cool. It was very cold, calculated, and like he wasn't like overly. I mean, he was brutal, but like it didn't seem brutal. I mean, he seemed just so chill throughout the entire thing, which made it creepy because literally like Hannibal's like straight face just ate part of this guy's face, beat the ever living shit out of this other guy, and then like took his face off and put it on his face. Like, oh my God. So, I mean, literally chilling. And it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, there's this great, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure the word, I can't think of the word. With this character where he is this highly educated, highly intelligent, highly calculating man, but has this sadistic, vicious side. But it's so much to the point that, but he's, probably so intelligent and so, everything else that he doesn't view other people as people on his level. So to him, that's what they are, right? They're things that he can kill, things that he could eat, things because they're not on his level. And the wildest thing is, I mean, he pulls it off, right? He's not lying because he knows, I mean, there's, when, they're going in, she's going in for that first time, and there's all these rules about, hey, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And, so many people think, yeah. It's one slight mistake and Hannibal Lecter will completely, use that to his advantage and turn it into, something else and escape.
Yeah.
But, it's such a great movie.
Well, and one other thing, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to add one other thing because you kind of mentioned it, but the detail of this movie. Like, sometimes you watch movies and like you can pick apart things about the movie that like wouldn't happen in real life. You know what I mean? You can pick apart a movie, you can say, oh, that's fake. There's not a single thing about this movie that I would say is overtly fake. You know what I mean? I have seen episodes of like true crime documentaries that seem more fake than this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, obviously it is a movie, it is fiction, but like nothing about it seemed like extraordinary. It just seemed like this was just like a cannibal who was very sophisticated killer who just was in the right place at the right time to do what he did, and then he got caught, you know, and now he's in jail. And I guess the one question I have for you, was this the first like Hannibal Lecter movie, or is there a movie before? Okay.
No. Now there is, I don't remember which one. One of the movies is a prequel.
Okay.
I've not seen the others nearly as much, so I'm not as familiar with them. There is one of the movies I believe is a prequel. Well, and I believe that the TV series is as well. And but yes, this is the very first of anything within this universe. You know, the very first. This is the creation of Hannibal Lecter. This is the creation of this whole story and everything. Yes, this is the first. So.
Sorry, I was just looking. I'm gonna have to watch Red Dragon now, because not only does it have Anthony Hopkins, it has Edward Norton, Ralph Fiennes, fucking Harvey Keitel. Good Jesus Christ, Philip Seymour Hoffman. I mean, holy shit, this movie is stacked.
Yeah. But all right, well, let's rate this thing. I'm just gonna go. I'll go right off the bat. Mine's pretty simple. You know, I love the movie, but I don't know if I'm of the opinion that, there's necessarily a perfect movie that's ever been made per se.
Right.
And, but excuse me, as far as quality of movie and my enjoyment, this movie is hands down, without a doubt, a 4 out of 5 for me. No doubt about it. I potentially could even go to a 4.5, and I'll tone it down just a little bit. Won't fanboy too much on it. But again, so easy, nice and easy, 4 out of 5 for me, no doubt. So,
absolutely. I am gonna agree with a 4 out of 5. I when I originally finished the movie, I'm like, if I were to give a rank like right now, I said 4.5 out of 5. I was like, that was solid. The only thing to me that makes this not a 4.5 out of 5 or even like a 5 out of 5, to me, again, the beginning of the movie was a little weirdly paced. Not horrible by any means. It didn't ruin the movie for me because I stuck it through and I got to that first Hannibal conversation and I was immediately hooked in. So yeah, other than that, 4 out of 5, very good movie. I will have to rewatch this. I'm not sure if my wife has ever seen this. I don't think she has. I want to say she probably hasn't. She's not usually a fan of movies made before she was born. So, she has a lot of movies that she just kind of excludes from her watch list for that purpose. So, we'll have to probably watch this because it was really good. I mean, it was extraordinary. Truly, it was.
She's missing out on some good stuff.
Yeah, I know. You're telling me.
Man, oh man. But yeah, I think this is a movie for anybody that enjoys, horror or enjoys crime, thrillers, any of that kind of stuff. Even people that are, I know it's not based on a true story, but anybody that's a fan of true crime type stuff, I think everybody would enjoy this. They would all enjoy this movie. So.
Yeah, I think this scratches that itch for a lot of people. It's a very diverse movie, I would say.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it. No surprise. 4 out of 5 for us. But again, I mean, wonderful movie. One of my favorites of all time. If you are out there and you have not seen this movie, put it on your list. I will badger you now because I can't badger Ike about this one anymore.
True.
Now I'll bug you. I have to put tweets or whatever out, tag you guys in it, and like I know all of your handles. No, watch the movie. It's a great movie. If you haven't seen it in a while, watch it again. It's well worth a rewatch. So, well, there you have it. A packed episode. Lots of news, lots of stuff. Discussions about the ad nauseum books. Nice talk about Silence of the Lambs. Some supernatural references. Some weird tangents on Cuba Gooding Jr. I think we have hit pretty much everything in this episode. I think there's a little something for everybody here. Whatever brings you to the dance, I think we kept you on the floor. So There you go. You're welcome. Next episode, like we mentioned earlier, we are going to review Lisa Frankenstein, which is out in theaters, starring Catherine Newton of Supernatural. And I will always say that. But I'm looking forward to this because it looks like a fun movie. Obviously, anything that's a take on the Frankenstein mythos is high on my list. Plus, it has a Supernatural alumni in it, which checks box 2. So I'm all about it. Let's do this thing. And we will see what I think of it next week. But until then, before we close this out, Ike, any last parting words for the listeners?
I think my only parting words would be is that if you're approached by a man and he asks if you like fava beans and a nice Chianti, maybe walk the other way. Yeah.
I mean, if somebody asks you to help put something in the back of their van, maybe say, sorry, I got a bad back, and just let the guy. And for God's sake, put the lotion on the skin or it gets the hose again. There you go. So until next week, when we are going to review Lisa Frankenstein, I'm Dave. That's Ike. Wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and have many pleasant nightmares.